Sound Chimera is almost certainly the most well-known map to have come out of the Love program. Its requirement of a combination of both great jump and flow aim has made it popular with top players, with major runs being put in from Kakizi to Idke to WhiteCat. But despite all these plays, the map went years without an FC, causing it to become an extremely sought-after score. The journey that players have taken to get the first FC on Sound Chimera is one of a few victories, but many more chokes, all of which have sealed its place as one of the most legendarily difficult maps in Osu. So, without further ado, this is the history of Sound Chimera. But before our video starts, a word from our sponsor, Opera. I've already said how much I like Opera for Osu because of its optimization options. You can control RAM and CPU usage, and it also just naturally uses less of those things than other browsers. But this time I want to focus a bit more on aesthetics, because Opera has some features that I sort of can't live without after trying them. Like forced dark mode. Yeah, no more getting blinded when you open a new website. It also has animated wallpapers, which can make it look incredibly clean. You can also get all of this with pretty much no loss of functionality from your old browser, since you can import cookies and bookmarks. And the app also works with all Chrome extensions. Last, it has crazy convenience with the flow feature that connects your phone and computer browser. Get the browser now by clicking my link in the description or the link in the pinned comment. Now, back to the video. Sound Chimera was submitted in the middle of 2018. At this point in the mapper Natu's career, he had never ranked a map, but earlier that year he had gotten one of them into the Loved program. He was still relatively unknown, and the map would go unnoticed for a good while. But that changed when on October 2nd, 2018, Kakizi would set an absolutely absurd score on the map, with his hidden hard rock 14 miss. A score that to this day has yet to be beaten. This would hugely boost the map's popularity, and it would also quickly rack up 200 favorites, and eventually get into the Love voting. Here, it would easily make the cut, getting 10% more than needed. The map would immediately become popular among the best the game had, mainly because of how obviously it displays technical skill. The way the map works is that the beginning is a slow build to a really spaced stream, which is then followed by a minute of similarly extreme streams. Then comes a break before the map goes back into streams for another minute, which brings the map to about the halfway point, at which point there is a break. This break really splits the map in two, with the first half being flow aim and the second half mainly focusing on jumps. This is because of a beat switch that occurs that makes the map 138 BPM alt. This is mainly mapped like 280 though, especially because right after the break there's a full-on 280 burst. This is followed by a relatively simple alt section before the hardest part of the map, the 280 jumps. These are insanely difficult, both for their spacing and angles, especially on the triangle thing. After this, there's one more space stream and then the map ends. It's pretty hard, and it tests basically every aim skill set, which was why a whole host of top players went out and put in attempts on the map. The first of these was Vaxe, with the lowest miss count at 7. He would also get a 1400 combo, which meant that he comboed all the way up to the jumps. Mathy would then lower it to 6 misses, but with only 955 combo. But while this was all happening, Azray would become the only person to this day to really contend Kakizi's hidden hard rock score, with a 16 miss. This and Kakizi's scores were and still are extremely impressive. Idke would then be the next to lower the no-mod miss count, when he would get a 4 miss. These first couple no-mod plays are pretty representative of where the map's difficulty lies. Most missed before the jumps, with Vaxe being the only one who made it all the way to them, and every single player missed at the jumps. It was clear that both the first stream section and the jumps were the real run killers, mainly just because of the raw skill needed to do them. The map's first couple weeks had pretty much every top player putting attempts into it, but by the next month there were only a few still grinding it out. Idke stands apart here because he would get a 1600 combo 5 miss and take the number 1 spot. Here he clearly set him apart from the competition because he had a level of flow aim that no one else could match. It was clear that he just needed to improve a lot at the jump section, and over the next couple months he would do that, mainly just by putting in a huge number of attempts on the map. And eventually, everything just seemed to fall into place when he got on an exceptional run. In this play, he showed the capacity to FC the map. He would just need to put in a few more attempts. Yeah, that was basically where he quit the map. Up to this point, Idke, Vaxe, and maybe Matthew seemed to be the only ones with the level of technical skill needed to achieve an FC. But that list would, in a moment, grow by one, in September of 2019, when WhiteCat was unbanned. Immediately after his unban, a lot of people believed that the stream parts of the map would ruin his chances, but he would quickly get much, much better. This was also combined with WhiteCat's attachment to the map. This is because Chimera was actually one of the maps that he'd played a ton before his unban. And it was clearly pretty good practice, because you can see how big of a difference there is between his runs then and the runs he would eventually end up getting. Which would all start with a 4 miss that he'd get just 2 months after his unban. And he wouldn't stop there, because he would continue to put in attempts while improving his flow aim. And by just a month later, he was able to achieve an extremely impressive score. A sound Chimera 1 miss, the play that made WhiteCat the forerunner on the map. An FC team totally doable, especially since he'd FC'd all the stream sections and only missed on the jumps. And luckily, unlike Idke, he would continue to play the map. And just a week later, he would set another 1 miss on the map, where he would almost FC the jump section, missing in the exact same spot as Idke. During this time, Vaxe would also get a score just as, or maybe even more impressive than those 1 misses, with his Hard Rock 6 miss score. It was worth over 1,000 PP if he'd gotten an FC. And honestly, Vaxe pretty much had the perfect skill set for the map. But he never really put in the time or attempts that WhiteCat or Idke did, so he never really followed through on it. The thing is that the middle of 2020 would end up being a pretty pivotal moment for Osu, with a huge increase in player skill. And it would show pretty clearly on the map's leaderboard. WhiteCat, A21, and Marek would all end up 1 missing the map. Marek would also be the first person to hit the entire jump and stream part. Sadly, he would choke pretty hard on the last leg of the map. During this time, WhiteCat was pretty inactive, and so it seemed that while he might have paved the way with his 1 miss, he wouldn't end up being the one to follow through with it, just like Idke 2 years prior. But ultimately, that would not be the case, because after all of this, WhiteCat would come and become the first person to defeat Sound Chimera. WhiteCat's FC on the map is still the penultimate score, and in a way, it sort of completed his transformation as a player, because it marks his transformation from the WhiteCat who in late 2019 was often pegged as a DT1 trick, to the one who came to set one of the coolest no-mod plays in the game, a play that needed complete mastery of jump and flow aim. The best part is that this wasn't where he stopped, because just a few months later, he would come back and set a monster of a score with Hard Rock. Yeah, he would 4 miss the map with the mod, making it clear that even 2 years after his unban, he's still the king of Sound Chimera. Sound Chimera's insane popularity has made it stand out, since when every good player puts in attempts on a map, it means the plays that rise to the top are some of the most impressive technical showcases in the game. Kakizi's insane hidden Hard Rock score, Idke's grind, and WhiteCat's proving he can stream marked just a few times the map completely encompassed the landscape of the game. And in a time where players have gotten so good that Hard Rock may even be doable on the map, it's going to be extremely interesting to see where it goes in the future. And I think that's pretty cool.